Good morning. I was rummaging through some of my stuff the other day and came across these lines I had highlighted. Give it a listen. People who make a difference are not necessarily people who have made a name for themselves. People who make a difference aren't the ones with the credentials, but the ones with the concern. Let me run that by again. People who make a difference are not necessarily people who have made a name for themselves. People who make a difference aren't the ones with the credentials, but the ones with the concern. End of quote. With that in mind, just how much are we affected by those we hang with? Plenty. Someone once said, "Show me your friends, and I will show you your future." I'll never forget the impact that statement had on me when I first heard it. But actually, my mother basically told me that same thing for the 19 years I lived in her home. Of course, as with nearly all mothers, mine was hopelessly old-fashioned. She was completely out of touch with the times, and her philosophy, bless her memory, was obviously a product of the dark ages. Today's really smart people would have held her archaic ideas up to public ridicule. And, of course, as with many teenagers, I pretty much knew everything back then. So the verse from her old King James Bible didn't make a lot of sense to me. It simply said, "Evil communications corrupt good manners." I think that must have been Mother's favorite sermon. Constantly she pounded into my head the importance of the right kind of friendships. She would say, "You may not be the one that's causing the trouble, but if you're running with the wrong crowd, eventually you're going to wind up being in trouble yourself." And it's amazing. As I look back on the accumulated experiences of a lifetime, my old-fashioned mother really was right after all. God's word was right. There is no way to estimate the influence that comes from our close associations. Our friends tend to be surrogate role models. Their actions eventually become ours. Their view on life seeps into the subliminal. Quite often we embrace their value systems. And in the bonding process, we subconsciously tend to duplicate their actions. You know something? People who tear us down aren't really our friends at all. But people who make a positive difference in our lives are worth their weight in gold. The kind of friends we have? It's all a matter of choice. I'm Larry Hatfield. Good day.